Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Lot of things happening in the Congress. Almost 15 days back, 23 senior Congress leaders wrote to Sonia Gandhi with some reforms that they suggested that Congress should undertake. 3 days back, Sonia Gandhi said, listen, I want to resign. I do not want to be the interim president. Today, there was a CWC meeting. So, a lot of things happening in Congress. Today, let's talk Congress. Let's get right into the show. So, my today's editorial will be of 3 parts. First is what the 23 leaders wrote to Sonia Gandhi. We will discuss that. I will just take you through those reforms, what they said. Then we will talk about what happened in the CWC meeting today, especially with Rahul Gandhi allegedly saying that, they are all connived with Bharatiya Janata Party and all of that. So, we will talk about that. And finally, we will spend 5 minutes on my 2 bits on the entire scenario. So, let's start the editorial. For starters, 23 senior leaders wrote to Sonia Gandhi saying that they require 6 major reforms to be undertaken by Congress. The first reform, they said, is Congress should have a full-time leader. They said, listen, we are in a time where there is a lot of things happening, a lot of problems, social problems that's happening in India, a lot of problems because of pandemic, a lot of problems because of economy. So this is the right time to have a very strong opposition for the country. And for a strong opposition, you need a strong leader and you need a full-time leader. So they said that this is this part-time leader which Mrs. Sonia Gandhi was. And of course, she was unwell and all of that. So that will not work. That was their first suggestion. The second suggestion is that there should be independent election authority to ensure that the internal polls are fair and unbiased. So, there should be a proper poll system. There should be a proper authority that can conduct polls so that the leaders of Congress can be selected through a poll. That was their suggestion 2. Their suggestion 3 was election of Congress Working Committee members as per party constitution. See, Congress Working Committee became a toothless tiger. It was just an ornamental committee, actually. There was nothing happening in that committee and there was no decision that committee was making. So they said, listen, they should make this committee a far more potent committee for which you need to have elections for this committee and new members, new blood should be infused to the committee. So that was their point number 3. Their point number 4 was that, the elections for Bloc, Pradesh Congress, all these elections should happen on time. Somewhere down the line, everything has just been stalled. Nothing seems to be happening in Congress. So they said these elections should take place as per their timelines, and that should happen now. So that was their point number 4. The 5th point that they raised was of collective leadership or institutionalized leadership. What they are saying is it should not be. Technically, what they said is Congress should not be a mom and pop shop. कि सेठ बैठता ऊपर गल्ले में and the सेठ decides everything. That is not how Congress should be. It should be institutionalized and it should be collective leadership, which means every leader should have certain powers and that powers he or she should be able to exercise. So that was their point number 5, collective leadership. And point number 6 is they said create as many national coalitions with as many parties as possible, as many like-minded parties as possible, so that Congress comes through as a formidable force for the 2024 election. So these were the 6 points that these 23 gentlemen wrote. Now let me just tell you who these people were. Who are these people who wrote this letter? This letter was written and signed by Ghulam Nabi Azad, Anand Sharma, Kapil Sibal, Manish Tiwari, Shashi Tharoor, Vivek Tankha, Mukul Vasnik, Jatin Prasad, Bhupendra Singh Hooda, Rajendra Kaur Bhattal, M. Birappa Moli, Prithviraj Chauhan, P.J. Kurian, Ajay Singh, Renuka Chaudhary and Milind Deora. Acha, Milind Deora is still with Congress. That is very nice. Okay. So, Milind Deora, Raj Babbar, Arvinder Singh Lovely, Kaul Singh Thakur, Akhilesh Prasad Singh, Kuldeep Sharma, Yogna Shastri and Sandeep Dixit. Sandeep Dixit, if you remember, is late Mrs. Sheila Dixit's son. So these were the 23 names that actually signed. Now, today, after this letter, it was discussed. I think there were a lot of internal discussions that happened. And there was a CWC meeting today. In the first half of CWC meeting, there were rumors that Rahul Gandhi was very upset and he said, listen, how can you write a letter like this? That to write a letter and then possibly leak it to the media. And you put the party more in trouble. Because we are having problems. We just lost Madhya Pradesh. We just somehow managed to get back Rajasthan. And, things are not looking good for us. And amidst all this, you put the letter. How fair is this? Are you working for Congress? Are you working for Bharatiya Janata Party? To which, of course, people like Kapil Sibal and all got very upset. They removed Congress from their Twitter handle and then they said that we are going to quit Congress and or whatever. I mean, he was very upset. He said, he will take sannyas, he will quit Congress, he will take sannyas and so on and so forth. Then it was told that, Rahul Gandhi never uttered such a statement. It was a false statement. It was wrongly reported in the media, so on and so forth. All this drama happened. Now for my 2 bits. You see, in management books, they say the first step to resolve a problem is to accept and understand that there is a problem. Congress has to accept and understand the problem. Congress does not need these reforms. That is not what Congress needs. No. Congress needs to first understand that if they want to be a political party, the bare minimum requirement for a political party is a leader. That is a bare minimum requirement. All the rest happens. The first thing that a political party requires is a leader. And today, the only possible leader they have is Rahul Gandhi. Now, the problem with Congress is Rahul Gandhi says, I don't want to be the leader. And a lot of congressmen also feels they shouldn't be the leader. But the fact remains that what they are thinking is that the solution will come from a poll. They're expecting to resolve their entire problem with a fair poll. That's not the resolution of the problem. Congress leader, like I said before, I say now, should be a person who the country accepts as a leader. Congress is a national party. The country should accept that man as a leader or that woman as a leader. If they don't, then all these gang put together, voting a person in and all will not help. The suggestion that we have for Congress is identify 5 people who wants to run for the President of Congress. Give them 1 year, 1 year's time to establish themselves from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. Let them go around the country, campaign for themselves and campaign for Congress. In that process, Congress will have 5 person campaigning for the party every day, 365 days for the next 1 year. Congress will be top of mind recall. Let these 5 people go around, make themselves known, make themselves a national leader, make people of India aware of them. And then after 365 days, let us have a poll. Possibly you will have a president who deserves to sit in that Congress president's chair. What we need to understand is approximately there are 18 major state elections in this country before 2024. And this Congress president is the one who should be leading Congress into those 18 elections, 18 assembly elections. Which means the basic requirement for this Congress president should be that he or she is popular in all these 18 states. He or she should be known to people of these 18 states. He or she should be able to gather crowd in these 18 states so that people can come and listen. Otherwise, Congress will have no chance. So the bare minimum requirement of a Congress president is that he or she is popular in across the country. Let us have a person who the country also feels that is a worthy material for the president of Congress. And that 1 year interim, let whoever, Manmohan Singh, be the president, and the second interim president of Congress. You still have 3 more years to fight the 2024 election. All these reforms are good once you have a good leader. So before getting into reforms and getting into elections and getting into bodies and leaderships and local leaderships and all of that, you need to have that one most important thing, and that's the national leader. That's the Congress president. I think this, to our minds, would be a practical solution for both the brand Congress and the team Congress. Till we meet next time, Namaskar.